dann hat sich das Ganze überlappt und hat nicht mehr richtig funktioniert.
Okay, wir sind live.
Yeah.
So hello guys, welcome to today's stream. You can also hear us chatter in the background here. So we are starting today, quite unusual, with a group flight into the new stream. So let me say, first of all, big thank you to Latmo coming into the 9-month subscription. Thank you, Latmo, for that. And let me welcome Latmo. Yeah, thank you much. And Awimar, hello. Mr. Nickfire, hello to you. Avenger, nice to see you. Mark Goodev, Aussie, hello. Fishbone, hello. Avenger, yeah. And Luke, hello to you as well. And on YouTube right now, I can see Pilot Bishara, hello to you. Aviation Driver, hello. Pilot Bishara is asking, how are you? I need your help with a problem in 2020. Well, you can post a question, Pilot Bishara. I hope I can help. And Svenja, wie geht's dir?
Could new subscribers
Nate, nice to see you too. Greetings.
First-class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
And Gilend, thank you so much.
Finally able to catch a stream again. Happy landings, smile.
Thank you, Gilend, and yeah, to you as well. Are you flying along by any chance? Any time to fly along? Fishkop, buenas noches. Right, yeah, so what a week it has been. So when I did my last stream, the day after that, I went flying IRL. And literally 2 hours before my briefing time.
The Captain Black Box infotainment experience. New subscribers should now pick up their pass to first class. Thank you.
Camo27 coming in for 7 months. Thank you, Camo.
Hey Black Box, hope you had a nice vacation.
I did indeed, Camo. Thank you so much. And thanks again for your support. Hope you're doing well. HK2184 Gude. Oh, nice. You're on holiday in September to Faro. Nice. Yeah, beautiful area here. Yeah, so I was just saying that 2 hours before my briefing time, I heard of the tragic crash of the 787 from Air India, which took me by surprise. And then I was again, well, not really surprised, but still shocked to see, video recordings of that crash actually happening. So I was quite shocked by that, to see that, because just like anyone that's very close to aviation just can't make any sense of what happened there, right? And I understand, of course, in the immediate after, or the time after that, immediately you are wondering, you were thinking, how could that happen? This jet had a fantastic safety record up to this day, and so it was actually the first real hull loss, I think, complete hull loss with the 787. And it was obvious from the pictures that not many people would be able to survive that kind of impact. Wow, and then in the evening when I reached my destination and I looked at the the socials and so on, I was bombarded with videos and theories and speculation about all kinds of possible things that caused the accident. Now, I understand the curiosity, I understand the fascination.
Happy 27 months, hope all is well with this heat. BB711 beloved. I had an APU Genin op in the FSL today, was so fun.
Nice, good, and I'm sure you covered that nicely. Lilo, thank you so much for the 27 months. Thank you for your support, Lilo. Hope you're doing well. Greetings. Yeah, weather has been hot here, but the last 2 days actually cooled down a bit. So, so I was just saying that I was, just seeing these wild theories appear, and I don't know. I have a bit of a different opinion of that. Being involved in aviation for a very long time, and I've posted some private things in my Discord to explain a little bit why it's a touchy subject for me. So my big thoughts were always like with the victims and the families of the people that died there. So I was getting really angry actually at how these so-called experts, self-made experts on YouTube and so on, were handing out all these theories and looking at the pictures, and it was really, you can't really tell much, even up to this day, you can't really tell much from outside what has happened. And so, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. And like I said, I'm not going to go into any speculation myself. I'm going to wait until the final report has been out. already been published. And then, obviously, since it is a 787, I am anxious to find out what has happened, right? Because there's always a potential that there could be a design flaw, right? Again, it's pure speculation, but there could be a design flaw that affects me in my work. So I'm anxious to find out what's the cause behind this. But I mean, the data recorder and the voice recorder. So actually, many of you know, but maybe some don't. So usually you would have two recorders separate from each other. One is the flight data recorder. The other one is the voice recorder that records everything that's being said on the flight deck, including the ATC communications. But the 787 actually was the first aircraft, at least I know of, that had a combined black box, meaning that it has one box. Actually, it has two boxes, one in the forward part of the aircraft, one in the rear of the aircraft, both collecting data from the aircraft itself, like airspeed, height, position, etc., as well as the voice recordings. So them having found the one of the boxes in the rear of the aircraft means to me that they're going to be able to hopefully recover both the data and the voice data from the aircraft. And then since it is a very pressing topic, I'm sure that they will publish the findings in the near future, right? And until then, try not to get too involved in all of this speculation and the hype around it. We'll find out, and then we can go from there. And as always, the main thing is to take away and get to a point where we can, if there's any bigger things that we need to correct, then we can make aviation safer going forward. That's the main thing here. Is an echo in the announcements? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just wait and see.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight served. Thank you.
Right. Is there a echo?
BB711 beloved.
Then I'll need to do something here. Twitcher, let's just monitor. Let's see if that works. Okay, cool. Thanks for the feedback. Yes. Okay. Nate and Fish Cup. I've changed some settings, so hopefully there will be no more echoes. But you can give me some feedback if you like. That'd be great. And then Scotty Hardy coming in as well with a 51 months. Thank you, Scotty, and Florian as well with the 24 months, 2 years. Thank you so much. Right. Let me get the battery on here. There we go. And then we can select the ground power on. Let's get things running. Sounds fixed now. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. I always appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much. Right. So, Pilot Bishara, you inquired about an issue after Microsoft 20 April update. I didn't have that problem before. So what? So a stutter when moving cockpit camera, like when I moved the camera and... Yeah, so the thing with the lags, there are so many settings regarding VSync and frame generation, etc. It's difficult to pinpoint where the lags and on the stutters are coming from. It is so difficult. I mean, the only thing I can offer you is we have a Discord channel where we have a section especially for these issues, flight sim issues. Maybe you could post that there, or there are some other dedicated forums, especially on Microsoft. So it's really difficult to pinpoint it here through the chat. Hey, Elias. Yeah, one of the reasons why I was getting really upset is because the press suddenly started posting comments about this Captain Steve apparently blaming the first officer for retracting the flaps instead of the gear, right? I don't know if he actually said that. I'm not saying he did. I just picked it up through some news outlets. But that in itself is pretty bad. Imagine, the families... the relatives of that co-pilot, if they heard that, what they must feel, just blaming and again, I'm not a fan of speculating in these things. It's just, I find it disrespectful to the people involved, especially the families, relatives, and so on. Fishkop says the black box, the tail of the 787 is not battery powered. They found the black box in the front. Yeah, but I think, okay, that's an interesting information, Fishkop. Appreciate that. But I think since the aircraft was powered up, I'm sure that they recorded the important part anyways, right? But yeah, but we have to be patient, wait for the... Yeah, exactly. So today, thanks, Nate, for the kind of the tip on that. So, so we are doing 2 flights in the 737 MAX, and one will be here on MAX of 2020, and then the other one will be on Microsoft 2024. So we get a good comparison with you know, visuals, performance, etc., etc. Right. So Reynolds and also Jeremiah, hello to you here in chat, or in voice.
Hi. Good evening.
Good afternoon to all.
And so I'm seeing one aircraft at the moment here with me. Brendel, how are you looking?
Yeah, I still have problems. I tried the FS Labs, which will not work. Then I loaded up the Phoenix, which do not work as well.
What?
And now I'm loading up the 737. And if that's not work as well, then I have to restart my sim.
Okay.
And this will take a long time.
Well, just go ahead. Just whatever you need to do. Don't worry, we'll be here. I'm not in a big hurry, since the good thing is that we are doing this as a first flight, so...
Yeah, no problem. You can take off, and I will catch up with higher simulation rate or so.
Okay. Luke, at the moment, I don't have any time to test those things, so right now I'm just home for 2 days or 3 days, and tomorrow... Yeah, tomorrow I'm here as well, but on Wednesday I've got to leave again for another 5-day rotation. So I wish I had more time, but right now...
This time?
Yeah, India, okay. going eastbound this time.
So 2 flights, and you have to stay there for a longer time, huh?
Yeah,
right?
I have to stay there for a couple of days, yeah.
Yep, okay.
Cannon Pluck, hello to you. Nice to see you. Cool. All right. So once again, thank you so much to everyone for all your support. I need to start 2 more apps here before I can get going. So hopefully I have not forgotten anyone with the shout outs. So Florian, once again, thank you for the 2 years. Going to give you a round of applause for that. Florian, vielen Dank. Oh, hang on, it's not working yet. There we go. Dankeschön, Florian. Why is my console not working here? Did you hear the applause? I didn't. Hang on. No. Right, let me restart that. But Luke, let me ask you this. I mean, surely since you're interested in the Starship, you've probably watched someone else stream it, right? So what's your opinion of it?
Is it out?
Yes, apparently it is.
Oh, wow. I'm very interested in that plane.
What kind of connection do you have with that, Brenold? Did you see it in real life sometime, or did you fly with it even at some?
Unfortunately, no. It is a very rare aircraft. I think there exist only 4 or 5 on the world, because unfortunately they stopped producing it a long time ago. But I think it's looking very interesting because it has a very special design, and avionics-wise, maybe it is also very interesting.
Okay.
And it is of black square, and they always make very good add-ons.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Thank you much, Nate. Yeah, so finally got the this just Windows stuff. You know, I'm not changing anything in my settings, but I come back from a 5-day trip and that's it. Everything's changed again. Oh, it's a nightmare. Right, so let me have a look here. So we got sim menu, ground support, page up, page down, performance, payload. So let's have a look. So where do I go to load everything? So init, index, FMC.com, no, menu, ACARS, index.
Starting up the 737 takes ages. I'm now waiting for 10 minutes to 15 minutes.
Okay. No worries. Right, I'm lost, guys. How do I, for those that, I've completely forgotten how to load SimBrief in here. Hey, Rui. Oh, yeah, Fish Cup, right. Although, I mean, the Mosa base isn't actually that expensive, I think. If you look at different, you know, force feedback add-ons, you know, they cost a lot more. So, but true, I have a lot of hardware, yeah. The desktop program? I'm not sure. Hang on, let me just see if I can do it this way. So Lima, Papa, Fox, Romeo. And we're going to Lima, Echo, Papa, Papa. Flight plan request. Maybe that's... I have some faint memory that this is how it potentially can be done. Loading. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, with the routing that we published on our Discord. Fantastic. Actually, if you're interested in flying along, so we're on the European West server. So multiplayer, and that's the routing we're flying today. Once again, Brendan, thank you much for making that routing for us.
Only 2020, you cannot see us when you are in 2024.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, on Microsoft 2020, yeah. Marwan is asking, do you think the current political tensions will affect the industry in the near future as well as flight training? It's always very hard to say. I mean, at the moment, no doubt, you know, the political situation in many areas around the world have become very chaotic and worrisome, to say the least. But it all depends now, I think, over the next you know, couple of weeks to see if there are some negotiations, you know, possibly going on, some ceasefires, etc. So hopefully things will be getting quiet again soon. But yeah, if it doesn't, well, yeah, it can affect the industry for sure. Yeah, exactly. So now we can go performance. The thing is, though, so now loading of the aircraft. So read MFS data. But I can do that differently, right? I can set the fuel here. So if I go to my flight plan, I can see that we're supposed to have about 6.4 block fuel. So if I go 6.4 total, oops, clear, 6.4, come on. Set fuel. That's how you can do it. Okay, cool, excellent. And then for the passengers, we're supposed to have a total of 170, I think it was. So let's see. We should be able to put that in, right? 170. Yeah. So my OFP gives me a zero fuel weight of 61.5. Oh, that's a lot more here. Ouch. Okay, so I have to reduce that a bit, otherwise I'm not going to go and have enough fuel. So let me just do that. Oh, hang on, cargo, right? Cargo. Oh, disregard. I need to change that as well. So I'm going to put this to 1,000. Yeah, that explains it. Yeah, you're right, Nate. It is cargo. Yeah, absolutely. So let me just reduce that as well. Yeah, that's better now. Look, now we can go like 155 passengers. Yep, perfect. I can even go 160. That puts us pretty close to what I have in my OFP. Cool. Organ Aviator, good evening. How are you? So let's set the payload. 61.8. Good. All right. So where's my viewpoint? There it is. Actually, let me just move down a bit so you guys can see that better here. There we go. And let's go 3. Hey, Alpha. Thanks.
There's a little mistake in the route you published. The arrival route should be Nulls 1 Yankee instead of Zulu.
Okay.
Because Zulu is more for the opposite runway.
Okay, 1 Yankee. We'll have a look at the charts in a second, because we are trying to fly that that RMP approach, correct, Reynolds? You want to see? Yeah,
exactly. That's the most interesting one.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll go through the briefing in a minute. Organ doing well. Just like many people, a little bit kind of shocked by what happened in India, but otherwise I'm doing well. Thank you much for asking. So let me quickly have a look here at the weather. So currently here in Faro, we have 250 at 6, Cav OK, 29 degrees, 1015. So it's going to be runway 28. And we're planning for the Tupix departure. So it should be Tupix 1 Victor. Execute. Now let me just have a look at the position. Yeah, that's in. So we're doing the alignment. Hopefully it won't take that much longer. And we should have a good database as well. Let me just have a look here at the I did update today. Yeah, that is a good database. Fantastic. So, and then Brenda was saying that we're doing the arrival. Although let me just have a look here at the Navigraph charts. So, unload, import the flight, Faro to Pamplona. So we're pretty much crossing central part of Spain. Probably going to cross right overhead Madrid airport. Yes, we are. So hopefully weather is nice so that we can have some good views. And going into... Yeah, that's not the right arrival. Let me just change that. So the 1 Yankee. And the 1 Yankee is just north to Aneku. And then from Aneku, it's going to be the approach, right? So it's going to be the RMP. Yeah, runway. Let me just see. Wasn't there a Brendel? Wasn't there a path, or was that just the RP33?
There is a prescribed track chart out.
Okay. Oh, it's this one here, right? It's the maneuvering VPT33. Ah, okay, get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. All right. So the idea is initially to fly that RMP33 approach. Yeah, Nate, exactly. Yeah, you're right. So Aniku, Papa 505, Papa 510. That's the initial approach fix, but that's not the descent point. Descent point is at 515, and we have a very steep 4.08, so almost 4.1 degree downslope. Quite challenging to get to Papa 520 at a minimum of 3,000 feet, or 3,010 feet to be exact. And then from there, we would have to see the runway and the surroundings. And then we can fly this. And Brennelt, do you know, are these waypoints in the database?
No, they are not.
Because often if they are on the chart, they would be also as a waypoint in there, but no, you're right, they're not.
You can't program that. You have to fly until the final approach fix and then switch off and fly manually.
It's kind of a shame because, I mean, in the real aircraft, you would have this programmed, including the vertical path. Hey, MAN.
Yeah, but it is a prescribed track only. It is not an RMP approach. The RMP approach ends at GP20, I guess.
Yeah, but the airlines sometimes program also the vertical path for their pilots. So we have kind of a...
Thank you very much, Captain Blackbox.
Thank you, MAN.
To renew my promise, you stream and I subscribe. B711 beloved. B711 beloved.
So, MAN, thank you so much for 81 months, and thanks for your promise, and keeping your promise. Yes, MAN, we're still here. I'm still like 15 minutes out, so go ahead, MAN. I know you always prepare really fast, so please join. Would love to see you. Yeah, so what I'm saying is that, so not only laterally, you would have that in your FMS, you would also have a programmed vertical path. So we call that company overlay, FMS. So FMS company overlay procedure, FCO. If you have that, you can actually take also the vertical information to fly that that approach. Obviously, here we can't even program the lateral path, unfortunately. So, and it's a curved kind of segment. So, trying to figure out some distances, but no, there's. So it's from there on. Literally, it's just going to be a. Oh, hang on. We've got some distances there. Does that make sense? How long is that? That portion here. That's 3.5 miles. Okay, so that's 3.5 miles. It says Delta Sierra 1 Papa 3.5 dms or distance 3.5. So I'm just wondering if that is 3.5 miles, but to be honest, it doesn't look like it. Well, actually, hang on, disregard. From here, from there to there, then from there to there. Yeah, maybe actually that's the distance. Could be. Although if I take the whole distance, look at this. So this is a 5-mile circle. Although, it could be the case. So that's 3.5 miles. Then that's 3.7. Nah, that doesn't add up. I don't know exactly what that is supposed to say with DME 3.2, 3.7, 3.5. No. It's European West. Yeah, exactly. 2020 MEN, exactly. Yeah, I think that's Uruk. I think that's the only logical explanation. So I think what we can take is 113 degrees and 3.5 DME. It's a shame that they don't put like, Pamplona 3.5. So to make it more, or make it clearer, what that DME distance is set to. So, but I think it's safe to say, since all of these, if you take a circle here, I mean, that's obviously more than this, 3.2, 3.7, 3.5. Now, that means theoretically, at least in a 320, we could program that in. Let me just have a look. Pamplona, so 113 at 3.5. Now, it's all a format thing again. Oh, who knows? Maybe that works.
What are you doing?
Programming these points into the FMS. So fix info, I'm taking 092 degrees now for the second one. Sorry, first Pamplona, obviously, PPN. 092, diagonal 3.7 DME. And then we can do another one, Delta Sierra, no, Papa November, 055 at 3.2. So let's have a look if that makes any sense. Where's my, oh, I know why it's not aligning, because I haven't set the INS up here. Test. Right. That's better. Yeah, I don't like. I honestly, sometimes I can't make sense of the Jeppesen charts, or it takes me a long time. Cool. All right, so we've done that. So we'll take the Nolsa 1 Yankee. We'll do the ANA 33, transition and NECU, execute. Then let's have a look. So we have all that routing. And of course, so after Papa November 550, it has the missed approach in there, obviously. And this is one of the very few exceptions where we have the problem that the approach doesn't end at the runway. So what do I mean by that? I mean that the approach, so the missed approach point is Papa 520. That's nowhere near the runway. So that's why now for the missed approach you have Papa 550. And then you have left turn direct to the VOR, 6,000, and hold at Papa November. So now it asks me for the position. I knew something was missing. Right, there you go. Cool. Yes, so Capitan, hello to you. The thing is, of course, it's usually, you know, those kind of charts that you grow up with, these are the ones that you will be, you know, most familiar with. For me, I grew up with Lido charts, so for me, it's you know, it's always been Lido. So cool. So do we get the chart here? So let's do that. And look, oh yes, it worked. Brendel, that worked. Look, don't know if you can see the stream.
It's awesome.
So that does answer the question.
And now you can add them to your route.
Theoretically, I don't know, because one thing I don't understand is why it always names that Papa November 01. I think that's a bug here, because it should actually sequence that as 01, 02, 03. But I could be wrong as well. So, but anyways, I mean, that at least will give me some information. Hey, physics, hello to you. Greetings, hope you're doing well. So yeah, well, I'll tell you what, we're just going to do the following. We're going to go and fly over these waypoints with heading or track mode. And then I'm going to have the runway distance. What is the airport distance? Also in the fixed page. That way I can track how many miles I'm away from the runway. And so we can kind of estimate how high we should be and then try to pick up the power piece early enough so that we can get the correct vertical path there. Because that's key. So the real question is, the elevation is, let me see, so we're going to be at 3,000 feet here at Papa 520. And the elevation of the airport is 1,500. So we've got 1,500 feet at the missed approach point. So we have to lose about 1,500 feet to the threshold. And 1,500 feet would be perfect with 5 miles, to be honest. Yep. Assuming we're going to fly a 3-degree profile, which is going to be a bit misleading because initially we have a much steeper glide. We have a 4.1 degree glide to here.
Is it allowed to deviate from this published path there?
So you mean
after a little bit more to the right, or to make a little bit more track
yes. So the thing is, very strictly speaking, the approach is a RMP, so an instrument approach until Papa 520, and thereafter it's a visual approach.
Okay.
So then after this point, it has no more, if you like, apart from the missed approach procedure, if you go straight out for the missed approach. But once you deviate from that procedure, meaning you don't go around, you actually do the visual approach to the runway, then it's visual. And from that point onwards, obviously, you have to make sure you just don't hit anything. And how you fly this, if you deviate a little bit outside, theoretically you can do. Usually I would say it's not really recommended, right? Because when they design these kind of approaches, they make sure that you have enough obstacle clearance left and right of the track to a certain degree. But strictly speaking, it's a visual approach, right? Solar Turk says it's a bug because there's Pamplona and there's Papa Alpha Papa VOR nearby as well. Okay. I see. Well, anyways, we got those points now in the box here. That's good. I like that. So one thing is very important. So it says here, so you have to differentiate between the normal instrument missed approach. So that would be flown when you as a pilot decide at that missed approach point that you don't have the required visual components to fly the visual approach, or if you say I'm too high in the approach or whatever, I'm not going to be stable enough, then you would just continue on the instrument missed approach procedure. However, once you start that circling approach, you're in the visual approach, again, the instrument approach doesn't apply anymore. It says a missed landing. Usually you would call that balk landing, but missed landing. So if the visual references are lost after Papa 520, complete the visual part maneuver climbing as far as threshold 3.3. So you would try to get over the threshold 3.3. Then climb on runway heading until the point Supos. Then turn left, max 185 knots. Follow that 10 demi arc until you cross 312 degree out of Pamplona. And then left, intercept, follow radial 302. So that's the course 122 inbound to Pamplona. And climb 6,000 feet and then join the holding. Yeah, Jorak, always do. Yeah, like I said, Brennelt is really, really good in finding some really interesting approaches. So this is definitely a nice challenge to be practiced as well. So 1015 looks good for the altimeter. 1015, 1015. That's set. Fantastic. Cool. Alrighty, let's do the rest of the items here. I've got to get used to right-clicking again here. So let's do that. And then we'll have a look at the normal departure procedure in a second. But going to start the APU here. It's probably going to get warm in the cabin. So we've done all that, and now we can go and do the performance calculations. So Lima, Papa, Fox, Romeo, search. Runway 28, condition is obviously dry today. We have 250, it's going to be 250 at 6 knots. Temperature, oh, it's meters per second again. I know there's a setting somewhere where you can change that, but I'll just put 3 meters per second for now. But we'll change that during the flight. There is a setting somewhere. Temperature is 29. And QNH is 1015. Oh yeah, while I'm typing this, sorry for being a bit sarcastic with all those experts coming out with all these different theories. So after first going after the mishandling of the flap and gear lever, i.e. selecting flaps up accidentally, once they realized that was wrong, they then went. What was the next theory? Next theory was thrust loss, right? And then somebody found out, actually pretty soon on my channel, someone said it sounds like the rat is deployed because it has that kind of propeller sound, right? Again, pure speculation, everything, right? Because we don't have 100% proof on that. Now, the interesting thing is regarding now I think fuel contamination is the next big thing, being discussed. It's causing fuel starvation. Now, again, pure speculation. What I want to get at is that it's interesting. If you go into the topic of fuel contamination, you will find, at some point, a fungi. I don't know how that's correctly pronounced in English, but fungi that actually grows in kerosene. That you have to make sure that you have additives in there and make sure those the fungus doesn't grow to a point where it can significantly cause issues. Now, the thing is, I do remember, I think it was a 320 or 319 having issues with an engine, I think. Diesel pest. Is it called diesel pest? Is that the same? I've never heard of that one before, but hey, interesting. Yeah, so I find it interesting if you come suddenly across these topics, right? Hey, Voyager. Yeah, exactly. Aviation forensics, welcome. And it's so fascinating, to read up on these things. What you have to be aware of, right? And but there's additives obviously that take care of these things, and then of course they will have to do some tank cleaning from time to time, where they would let out all of the kerosene and then physically go into those tanks, and those tank entries are extremely small. So I remember on the 737, there are small openings. So if you ever wonder what these are here, these oval panels, these are actually panels you can take out to then access the tanks. All right. So you would have to have someone that actually fits into that area. So they have technicians that are small enough to get into the tank through those. Now, I'm not a big fan of tight spaces, right? I would never ever go into a tank through those openings. No way. No, I would be scared shitless if I had to do that, honestly. But that's something. And luckily, I'm big enough that I'm not fitting in those there. Okay, so that's pure speculation anyway for me. So, but yeah, it's not, huh?
It's not a job of the captain to clean up the tanks.
No, luckily it's not. I would have a serious problem if that was the case. So, yeah, it's interesting. Oh, in German it's called Kerosinpilz.
Yes, but this aircraft was filled up on this airport, and there were a lot of other aircraft also filled up on this airport, And if there have been this fungus in the tanks, there would be other aircraft as well which would have problems with the fuel. I don't think about that.
Yeah, the thing is though that sort of fungus doesn't necessarily have to be in the refueling truck or in the refueling system itself. It can be, usually it's actually growing in the aircraft tank itself over time. Because remember, there's like always kerosene in the tanks. You never empty the tanks, do you?
Yeah, it's correct. But the plane was parked there for a longer time with the fuel in it, so the fungus does not have time to grow up. I can't believe that. Yeah,
but so I know that the issue with the fungus is, of course, that you always have a rest kerosene level. So let's say, there's always a part on the aircraft wings, if you like, in the tank system, that would always have kerosene in it. So it's always kind of, wet, if you like. So in that part, so the inner part towards the fuselage, the fungi would actually have, the possibility to grow in there. All right. So, yeah, I'm reading up some comments, which is interesting. So, okay, so it's also water content setting in the tank, and by this allowing bacteria and fungus to grow. So they need water, of course, yeah. And then at some point that gets mixed with fresh fuel and consumed, blocking filters and reducing fuel flow. Yeah, okay, that brings me up to the next. Thanks, Zvegatos, for the information. And of course, there is so the refueling truck has filters. The refueler takes a sample of the fuel that's being fueled to check for contamination. You have filter systems in the aircraft, especially the last line of defense is a filter right in front of the fuel metering unit. So that unit that varies the fuel going into the combustion chamber to set the right fuel, whatever it's demanded from the engines. And so there's enough safeguards in there, right? Of course, over time, the fuel filter will get more and more clogged up, but usually those are being checked by normal routine maintenance checks. If it does get clogged up to a certain degree, so if the fuel flow slows down significantly through the fuel filter, there will be a caution message coming in. I know in the 787, it's fuel filter, left or right. And the procedure there is then to be aware that fuel is bypassing the filter potentially, meaning that potentially you could have engine power degradation or even flame out. But again, that's highly, highly remote. I mean, that's, so again, these are all things in the realms of speculation right now. Okay, so don't take these things.
Still, I believe the A320 has
fuel
filter bypasses.
Yeah. So of course, so just because the filter is clogged doesn't mean there's no fuel coming into the combustion chamber. No. So like I said, then you have a bypass of that fuel filter. So the fuel still gets into the engine. However, it's no more filtered, or there's no more last line filter in it anymore. And that's why it says potentially there may be a thrust deterioration or a flame out potentially. Things get really bad. But again, highly speculative, right?
And this should have been in this two engines at the same time. It's very unlikely for me.
That's the thing. Again, that's why I was saying careful with putting out these kind of speculations. And I'm not a big fan of that at all. Physics says today you read somewhere about the GPU being disconnected during heavy rain earlier. So ground power that caused moisture, which resulted in a short on a main bus. Honestly, again, you see, that's the thing, right? I mean, if I let go of my my imagination, right? I could think of so many weird, possibilities of what could potentially have happened, which I'm not going to do, obviously. But so really, I know it's like being in a criminal investigation, right? I can understand the fascination behind that, but again, just be patient. There will be a final report out at some point.
Well, in about a month's time, we will have a preliminary report, right? So that's usually how it happens.
Yes, it depends. Well, usually yes. And usually, of course, Boeing and maybe the airlines will get a first report out before it's actually opening out. I don't know. But in the end, yeah, usually, like I say, it's a preliminary report, and then sometime later, months later, you get a final full report. But initially, the initial report usually already covers the main reasons. The rest will just be maybe some soft parts, with crew resource management, etc., or communications, whatever. But yeah, initially, that report already tells you what really happened. Yeah. So yeah, somebody says, so what do I mean with bypass? Let me just show you then.
Start my computer. Takes a minute.
Yeah, no worries. So, I mean, I know that people are interested in these topics, so I can see that. So let me just try to connect my iPad here so I can do that little drawing and show you guys what I mean. So let's do AirPlay. There we go. And then let's connect that. So, yeah, there we go. Right, so you should be able to see that now. So let me draw some things in here. So, you have your tank, right? So the tank, fuel tank, you're going to have fuel coming out there. You have things like fuel oil heat exchanger, right? Some other things maybe in there in between, and then you would have a fuel filter, right? And then it goes into the fuel metering unit, which then goes into the combustion chamber. Now, if this part here, so the fuel filter slowly gets clogged up and to a level that the flow through that filter becomes significantly less, then there is a bypass pipe, right? And that way, the fuel will still get into the fuel metering unit, bypassing the fuel filter. And that's why the procedure says, careful. Oops, hang on. Where's that? Sorry. See, the size here isn't quite correct. Hold on. Interesting. Hang on. Right. There we go. Now we got it correct. Yeah, so the tank, right? Fuel goes into fuel oil heat exchanger, some other parts maybe, and then it goes into fuel filter, into the fuel metering unit, and then into the engine combustion chamber. If that gets clogged up to a certain degree, the fuel can still bypass that filter and get into the combustion chamber. But again, then you will get a warning. You will get usually a caution message, and you will do a procedure where you don't have to do any switching of the aircraft, but it will tell you that potentially you will have a thrust degradation or potential flame out. But again, it's highly unlikely. So yeah, that's the idea behind that. That's the aircraft tank, Aviamar. So this is all the aircraft side. Yeah. Yeah, Fish Cup, pleasure. Right, so we got DTO 2. I think we're going to try DTO 2 because we're not. Well, we actually, well, not that heavy, but we'll take that. We'll try that. Flaps 5. Air conditioning off, air conditioning on and anti-ice off. And then 68.2 for takeoff. Let me just check that here real quickly. So let's have a look. Reserves. So the alternate is Bilbao. Interesting. And so we have 2 tons reserves. The cruise wind. Actually, can we request the wind data here? Oh, we can request it at least. Let's see if that works. Well, yeah, Capitan. So if the fuel that's going over the bypass isn't contaminated, then the thrust will still be the same. So the only reason why you would have potentially a thrust degradation or a thrust loss is if the contaminants get into the fuel metering unit and then into the combustion chamber spray units. Then again, it's a very theoretical topic, right?
Well, there was a Cathay Pacific flight that had exactly this issue, contaminated fuel, a few years back.
Yeah, and I remember there was also, not with contaminated fuel, but the fuel filter was something clogging up because it had water particles freeze. And so that was a 777 that crashed in Heathrow prior to the runway. And so in the approach, the whole thing clogged up because these ice crystals blocked the fuel flow to the engine. And that degraded the thrust. It didn't cause the engine to completely go out, but it degraded the thrust, so they couldn't get back to normal thrust levels. So yeah, there's also been cases of fuel contamination causing issues. But again, it's the industry learning from that, and then inputting some safeguards that have to be followed, obviously. And then again, that's one of those things that makes aviation safer in the end. But no doubt, I'm not making it a secret that I am definitely anxious to find out what happened with the Air India 787. Oh yeah, and again, somebody was asking me if I wasn't worried about flying the 787 now. No, I would say no, because I know it's a very, very safe aircraft. Look at the statistics of the aircraft, right? And then I'm not going to follow any wild theories being brought out by all these experts, and I'm just going to wait for the official report, and then if there's anything there that I feel that needs to be addressed, then I'm sure my company will address it. Yeah, Brad Fan. Yeah, so the heat exchanger that 777 had the problem with was a design problem by Rolls-Royce. Yeah. Okay, so we have 68.2 estimated takeoff weight, which is great. That reminds me I have to do APU bleed on. Let's do high flow, cool the cabin. Trim air is on, recirculation fans on, fantastic. So 68.2 looks good. Let's calculate that. Oh, so I have to have, that's interesting, it gives me a warning. So let's try takeoff 1. And it does that, okay. How long's the runway here? I just remember my last takeoff was quite a scare that we did, right? We did use all of the runway. That was last week sometime. So we have 2.5 kilometers, hot temperature.
Maybe unload some passenger, offload some passengers.
No, I'm just going to go with full thrust. I think then we're good. So we've got full thrust now. It says selected 36, flaps 5, 37, 39, and 50. So 5, 36 first of all. So takeoff, and then 36. Now, theoretically, we could also do a bump here up to 29k, but I don't think that's necessary. We'll just take the normal 28 full. And then I'll do a climb 1, and then we'll do flap 5. trim is set. And 3739.50. And that's a pre-flight complete. Yippee. So, right, I'm going to have a look at my fellow pilots to see how far they are regarding their preparation. Brennelt, how far are you?
But no problem. Take off and I will follow you.
Okay, so we got someone taxiing out. So 320 there, another 737 there, and I'm not sure, is that an aircraft or is that for the fire brigade? Probably for the fire brigade there. Cool. Yeah, there were some good videos out. You know, those that do stress that it's all very speculative at the moment, and maybe explain the technical aspect. But then there were quite the opposite, contrary, where claims were being made. You know, it's just, I don't know. It was ridiculous in some parts. So then we've got that. We're put on terrain, TCAS traffic. That's fine. Over here as well, terrain, traffic. So let's have a quick look over at panel one more time. Yaw damper on, clear for hydraulics. That looks good. APU bus on. Landing out to 1500 is correct, and we're cruising at 360. I have on my flight plan. Let's do 360. Looking good. Let's read a checklist. Now, let me see. Where has... Oh, this... So this is something I'm really missing in... in 2024. Oh, where's my... Huh? Where's my Oh, that's it. Ah, no, I disregard. So it is, okay, got it. Just didn't recognize the symbol there. There we go. That's what I was looking for here. So we've got Lima, Papa, Fox, Romeo. 28 degrees, 1015, 250 at 737 normal checklists. So pre-flight checklist, oxygen. Checked, tested 100%. Navigation transfer switches. They are normal and auto. Window heat is on. Pressurization mode selector is an auto. Flight instruments, we have heading 011. Looks good. And we have altimeter 1015 at 20 feet. Parking brake is set, and engine start levers cut off, and that's the pre-flight checklist complete. One more thing I was just thinking about, forgot now. Menu, let's try that here. Menu system. Let's get the chocks, disconnect the electric. Doors. Close. Close. Excellent. I thought so, Nate. Yeah, I thought that was a cube symbol, but I couldn't remember. I wasn't sure. So, anyways, let's do the before start items. So I'm going to put the packs to off. We want the anti-collision light on. We have fuel pumps on. Hydraulic is set. Then we'll do a recall check. Electric, oh, that's good. And we'll do a transponder 2000 transponder on. Oh yeah, I'm still starting to give you the departure briefing here. So taxi out, currently parked here on the apron. We're taxiing out. Runway 28, Bravo Papa, or Charlie 2 Papa, full length. Then the Tupix 1 Victor departure takes us at least 60. So we go Fox Romeo 612, 613, 614, Tupix 60 or above. Over the water, sectors 3,000 feet. No specials, no threats. Hey, Terrain Ahead, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Do I sometimes use racing games? No, I don't actually. My time is somewhat limited. And so I do literally just do flight simming. I do different sort of flight simming, including fighters. But yeah, no, I'm sticking pretty much to flight simming. So let me just have a look here at Faro. We have NDP 2, so 1030 height. What? Hang on, 30. There we go. 30 thrust reduction and engine out is going to be 1500 height. Is good. It's a dry runway, and VNAV. Transition out to 4000 is correct. Cool. Engine out will be straight ahead, 25 miles to hold. Acceleration in 1600. Excellent. So let's read the before start to the line. Fuel. We have 6.3 tons. Pumps are on. MCP, oh sorry, passenger signs. Passenger signs are on. Then we have MCP. We've got V2150 heading 281, and we'll take altitude. Well, actually, we'll leave that at 100. Takeoff speeds V1. We have 137 VR139 V2150. CD pre-flight completed. Rudder aileron trim 0. And taxi takeoff briefing completed. Let's make sure the door is closed. Fantastic. Overhead panel, all doors are closed. Good. So below the line, flight deck door closed and locked. Doors closed, checked. And the anti-collision light is on. And that's the before start checklist completed. Oh, nice terrain head. You're moving to Trondheim. Oh, beautiful. As much as I don't admire you moving, so the whole aspect of, you know, getting everything into boxes, etc., and then into lorries to actually move. Yurak said recently heard some airline encountered unexpected engine automatic shutdown on ground. It was found that rust had developed in some of the engine fuel valves. Okay, wow. Oh, he's starting fresh terrain. Understand. And you've already lived there. Okay, cool. Nice. Very beautiful. Right.
Departure checks completed. Bypass being inserted.
Hey, Kilos guys, wie geht's dir? And how's training going? Echo Delta Whiskey Fox.
Locking gear.
Actually, I don't exactly know where that is, to be honest. Hey! Man, I'm happy. GG's kilos, guys. What a journey. I am so, so happy for you. So we have a freshly baked first officer on the A390. Oh, you did A320 series, but A319 you did your landing training. Nice. I am very, very happy for you. I know what a painful journey it was overall. So I'm really, really happy for you. Yeah, it only took 5.5 years. Blimey, I know that for one is horrible to hear. But I think there's been cases where it actually has been even longer. So, but no, it's been way too long. I agree. Brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
Physics, lol. Oh no, really? Hang on. Oh yeah, you did tell me that back then. That you okay? But Kilos, guys, honestly, I just cannot imagine that will stay like that for long. I know we talked about the specifics, but still, I mean, yeah, be patient because there's going to be huge demand. Like, where do I find my panel style? There we go. PFD. I don't want that angle of attack. There we go. And then we want on the nav display. I don't want track. I want heading on top. So these are the most important things, really. And there we go. All right, let's do the engine start, shall we? So we've got the engine page open. Pack's already off. Got good pressure. Starting engine or the right engine. So now it's going to do its motoring. And then once that disappears, we can put the start lever to idle. Yeah, Paul, right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Infotainment.
Luke, thank you so much for gifting us up for Kilos, guys. Thank you very much, Luke. There you go. Now we can put the fuel switch to idle. Why can't I get... Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. Papenburg. Hey, Bob. Great sound. Papenburg. Okay, now I know. Nice. Let's start the left engine. Paul, hello. Oh, Paul, hello to you. And Jehu, hello to you as well. So again, waiting for the motoring to go away. There we go. Now we put that to idle. Why is that not working? So we'll have a confirmed good engine start. Start valve closed. Fantastic.
Unlocking gear.
Engine values looking great. So let's do systems here. Let's do the before taxi items. That means auto flaps 5. One recall check. Flaps 5. Let's have a look. There goes the pushback truck. Aircraft is clear. Let's do a flight control check. Full down, full up.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass being removed. Left is clear, right is clear.
Thank you. Just waiting for the all clear signal so that we can read the checklist. Oh, it seems I already got the all clear. Oh, no, there she is. Thank you. So let's read the before taxi checklist. Hang on. Where are we? Here we are. Before taxi checklist. Generators on. Propede on. Anti-ice off. Isolation valve is in auto position now. Engine start switches continuous. Recall was checked. Auto brake RTO. And we have engine start levers idle detent. Flight controls checked. Ground equipment is clear. Before taxi checklist complete. Let's go and taxi. So it's going to be left out. Brakes are working fantastic.
My plane is working now.
Good.
I'm about to push back.
Nice. Good timing then. So we're turning left here. So let's say the cabin ready call has been received. So let's now do the before takeoff checklist. Flaps 5, green light. Stabilizer is 6 point. No, it seems a bit much really. So 5.2 units set, and that's the before takeoff checklist complete. Has anybody heard anything about chase plane? Can we expect that to come to 2024, or have they given up on it? Because I do like the cinematic mode. Very nice indeed. Right, the approach sector is free. Lol. Bumps in the road. Cabin crew prepare for departure. TCAS is on. One more time. Approach sector is clear. Yeah, auto throttle arm, correct. And hey, Henry, hello to you. Nice name. So there we go. Done everything. Time, elapse time will start automatically here on the max. And let's have a yoke cam. Wonderful. Cool. Alrighty. Let's hit it. Take off. Wind should be pretty much from the front. N1 and toga. Thruster set. 80 knots. E1, rotate. Far to the right, gear up. Nice. So now we have N1, VNAV speed, LNAV. Having to add a good amount of trim there. The link to Discord web, I'll give you that in a second. Just give me a second here. Here comes Flaps 1. Flaps 1. And flaps up. 230 knots restriction right now. Well, that's looking good. What sim or what do you mean with VC? So 2020 and it's the iFly 737 Max. Altimeter standard checked. Now accelerating to 50. Let's get the autopilot on. And let's read a after takeoff checklist. Engine bleeds are on, packs are on, cabin is climbing. Landing gear up, and we have flaps up, no lights. After takeoff checklist complete. Oh, the voice chat. Sorry, the voice chat's on Discord. So let me just get you. But be aware, right now, the chat, if you have, very specific questions regarding our flight, if you're flying along, so that's the idea with the voice chat. It's not meant for general chatting right now, so, if you have questions, I would appreciate you putting those questions up here in the chat. So, not sure why it's doing that. Is that an overfly waypoint? Shouldn't really be. It should be a fly. Let's do that. Bob, have you? Let me return that question, Bob. Right, we got FSC speed VNAV alt. So let's continue our climb 360. So Web, you would have to quickly type in hello in the welcome channel, so that one of my moderators can admit you and give you permission to see those. It's just to keep the bots out. That's all it is. Hey, Fappy.
It's automatic. If he put hello in the chat in the channel, he gets automatically the correct role.
Ah, okay.
But to come into the group flight, you need to put a command. There is, in the welcome tunnel, is a description how to do.
Yeah, so once you get to the Discord, type hello in the welcome channel, and then there's a description, like Brendel said, how to get to the voice channel. Wow, it's got a huge climb rate. So what we're going to do now, actually, I'm going to go ahead and get this to climb 2. Save a bit of engine power, engine life. Well, they did a nice job with the modeling, I have to say. It looks very nice. Beautiful coastline here, south of Faro. I have to say, it runs, so the sim here, Max 2020, runs really nice, really smooth. But I did some testing as well this afternoon on 2024. With the iFly, and there I had good performance as well, so looking forward to it for the second flight. So second flight I'll be on VATSIM, by the way, guys. So the second flight will be from Tirana to Samos. With a very interesting visual approach there. Oh, 10,000 check. Yeah, you're right. Ooh. So 10,000 check. Let's do that. Seatbelts, auto. RATNAV should be clear, and actually there's no RATNAV, and then fixed page will leave as it is. En route, do we have anything nearby regarding VORs? We've got Sevilla, 13.7. 7. There it is. So let's put position. There we are. Oh, we do have VSD. Has that been in all the time? I think that's missing. Some other aircraft is missing it, but here it's nice. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I think it's missing in the Horizon mod, isn't it? Yeah, that's where I complain all the time. Well, that's nice. I like that. Yeah, so cargo pilot, I have one more tour to fly, but then thereafter I've got 4 weeks holiday again. So potentially next week onwards I will have some more time. So just let me know when you plan to be in Ganakazir, then I'll have a look if I can join you. Oh really? So Quoten Wagner says it seems to be an option here in the aircraft itself. So some liveries don't have that. Okay. 4 weeks daily streams, Voyager. Nice try. I'm trying to get my real world flying organized now. So the PPL stuff. Not as easy. Adiole, mainly what I'm looking for is the flight feeling. To see how the aircraft behaves in 2024 compared to 2020. And then of course we'll have some little things like we'll have a look at the the fluidity of the displays. Let me just do that real quickly. Let me have a look here. How bad the lag is. Now that has improved a lot. I mean, it's still a little bit there, but that was a lot worse with the lag on the compass rose there. So that's not bad actually, to be honest. Back to command. Cargo pilot, yeah, I can try, yeah. But like I said, usually I'm fairly flexible. So when, you know, because I assume you would have to look and make sure you have lovely weather to be able to get to Ganakaze, and then I'll see what I can do. HT320, hello to you, and EO, hello. Oh yeah, so normally you can do this here as well, right? So you can go. So what we're going to do actually, we're going to go and transfer the ICAS over, and then we can have this display here. Yeah, so here we have a much bigger VSD display there. So this is something I do in the 787 as well. So if I'm pilot flying for takeoff, I usually will have the ICAS on my side, because that way I can just quickly do my scan, you know, in this portion of the aircraft. I don't have to look over to the other panel. But then once in flight above 10,000, I would take the big nav display on my side, or move the ICAS to the other side. Oh, cargo pilot, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure we will find something. Yeah, absolutely. Valentine, hello to you. How are you doing? Oh, nice. So, Valentine, you're flying along? Is that what you're saying? Nice. GG's, welcome. The ICAS is your responsibility, yeah. Well, it does make sense, doesn't it, Gillen? Because if you have any issues, so on the 787, I mean, you know, you're going to have your checklists on the ICAS, right? So the pilot monitoring, you know, will have an easier time to work on the ICAS that way. So usually what you would do with a control transfer, you would also then transfer the autopilot channel, and maybe think about transferring the displays. Oh yeah, guys, I have to. How many of you have seen Captain Steve's video where he pretty much roasts the Lufthansa crew on the 340 with the engine out? Yeah. That got me so triggered. The way he roasted them, and his facial expressions and his body language and that, like, you know. Yeah, honestly, Aviomar, don't bother, because it really triggers you. I mean, it triggered me. So, but what's the worst thing is, he got so many things wrong, where I'm like, wow, as an airline captain, as a what's it called, veteran airline captain, you should do more research. And I actually got the idea, I got the feeling that he has never had any contact with Airbus. So hang on, let me just have a look. So Webb, so you were the one with the C? Is that you there? That you said hello, or did you type hello in the channel, in the welcome channel? So Brennelt, what does he have to do? He's got to type in something somewhere. Okay, so I don't know. Let me see. Brennert, hörst du mich?
I'm here.
Yeah, sorry. So what does he have to type to get the info about the group flight channel?
Wait a second. Let me have a look. Is this a YouTube view or?
Yeah,
just,
it's a YouTube view. Ah, there we go. Yeah, so now he's okay. So now, hang on. Now you have set hello in the channel. So now I can give you the role. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah, now have a look again if you can see the channels, William, because now you admit it. And so scroll down the left-hand side. But Brennel, the channels will be visible to him, right? The group flight stuff.
I guess, yes.
Yeah, so.
There's a rules channel, and far down there is the description how to do it. You need to enter \rank and blank and group flight. Then you get the group to enter the group flight channels.
Yeah, there we are. He's found it. You see? Fine. All right, so I was saying, so the first thing, so let me give you a quick rundown. There was a Lufthansa A340 with an engine failure on their way to Europe. So they were past, I think they were just past Newfoundland or something. So they get the engine failure, right? And they obviously have a lot of things to do. You guys know Airbus. I'm sure all of you pretty much know how to fly the Phoenix or the FS Labs or, you know, an Airbus, right, here in the flight sims. So you've seen me do engine failures and you know the whole procedures. So they were still in the US airspace. Okay, I mean, thanks. So they were doing their stuff. Now he is roasting. The first thing he roasted them for was that they continued flying eastbound for like 30 minutes. Well, you guys know there's 3 types of engine problems, right? So you can have a simple fuel starvation, a stall, right, where the engine just quits without, hey, flies 77, without damage. Remember, guys, what items you do with a failure without damage on the Airbus? Let's say 320 or 340. Well, you would put the thrust lever to idle. You would get the fuel control switch to cut off, right? And that's it. That's all you would do. You would not touch the fire control switches. You would not touch those. Why? What do those do if you pull them without rotating them? If you just pull them? Because if you have a failure with damage, so let's say you look at your engine instruments and there's no more rotation of N2 and N1, or there's really bad vibrations, you would say engine severe damage, let's say, right? Then not only would you retard the thrust lever, you would switch off the fuel control, you would then also pull the fire control switch, right? Or the fire warning switch, whatever it's called in the aircraft concerned. Now, exactly. So that actually does a couple things. It cuts off hydraulics, it cuts off electrics, it cuts off pneumatics. Right? Also, it arms the squibs for the fire contagion. Right? Oh, come on. Seriously, guys? Hang on, let me just thank you much. Yeah, I thought that was going to be an idiot. There we go. Goodbye. Take care. Enjoy your day. All right. Anyways, so that arms the fire squibs. So that way, when you rotate that switch, it will discharge that fighting agent, right? Good. So that's the idea, right? So that's the way you would handle a engine failure with damage. Then the third one obviously is a fire, right? So the fire would be all the items, but you would then also discharge the fire agent, one or both, right? So now obviously, if you have just a flame out, and I'm not saying that they did have a flame out, I'm just saying potentially they could have just had a flame out. So they did their procedure, and in the status, it will then say for engine restart. So it does give you the option, potentially, to restart the engine. It's a procedure. It just takes time, right? So that's maybe an explanation why they first of all continued eastbound, because they were thinking about restarting the engine, potentially then being able to continue their journey towards Europe, okay? Just putting that out there. Then the second thing is he was really furious somehow about the pilots not declaring Mayday. Well, I know that Captain Steve flies a 777, so 2-engine. So potentially he's never flown a 4-engine aircraft. So if you have 4 engines and you lose 1 engine, it's not that bad. It's not that terrible. You still have 3 engines left, right? So there's lots of redundancy still involved, right? Regarding hydraulics, engine power, electrics, etc., etc. Dennis, thank you so much for the 6 months. Appreciate it. Yeah, cargo pilot. Yeah, I think that's some of the exceptions. Right? But here we go. We're not going to get upset about that. Yeah, so you guys know as well, Mayday means you have a potential threat that causes, some danger to life or the aircraft, which means it requires immediate help without delay. That's Mayday. But if it's only like something that's more of a technical nature where you want to have, priority, then pan is the way to go. You don't have to say declare an emergency, like you don't have to call Mayday, right? Yeah, exactly, fly 787. Also, potentially could say if you only have 1 electric generator left, that's also potentially a Mayday call. But again, that's up to the captain to decide, right? But he just said, nice and easy. Hey, we'll do a pan. Eventually, once we figured out what we want to do, and then they returned, right? Yeah, and then he was complaining that because they took so much time, they then ran into a hydraulic issue. No, that's not correct. The reason potentially why they had a hydraulic message come up in the approach later on was as they were slowing down, right? So let's say we just have a failure without damage. What does the engine do? The engine is windmilling, right? So the engine is windmilling through the slipstream, and while it's windmilling, it will potentially still produce hydraulic power. Remember, we did not pull the engine fire switch. So we are still potentially creating hydraulic power. And then you slow down the aircraft. So as the slipstream gets less and less, the windmilling gets less, and then potentially at some point, they were extending flaps or gear, whatever, and then the hydraulic power just dropped below a certain level, creating a hydraulic message. In Airbus, hydraulic messages, big deal, right? Because you're going to have a huge checklist. And then he said something that really, that threw me off. He said, what a stupid thing to go around because they had the runway ahead of them. So I would have said to my co-pilot, let's ignore the hydraulic thing, let's land and then, have that handled on the ground. Like, what? Seriously? You could do that if your aircraft's on fire, right? If you really are, pressed on time and you have to get the aircraft down, then yes. Then maybe you would use your command authority to say, look, hydraulic, I know the issue, the runway is long enough, let's get it down. Airbus, the whole training concept, the whole procedure concept is you have a problem, you have a checklist, a procedure, you perform the procedure, and we all know at the end of the procedure, it says status, and in the status, it tells you which systems are affected. Spoilers, reverse, or whatever, right? You know that. And then with that, you go into your landing calculator and recalculate your landing distance requirement. That is a legal requirement. Pilots are legally required to do that. For every landing and everything that affects landing distance after you've done your calculation, obviously you have to do it again. If you don't have a time problem, which they didn't, then you do that. And that's exactly what they did. So in my opinion, they did a fantastic job. They did everything according to the books. And so to have them roasted by a fellow captain on a channel, on a YouTube channel that has a huge reach, is just embarrassing, honestly. That's all I can say. Sorry to roast him now, but that's just, I don't know what you know, what goes through that mind, but that's just bad in my opinion. And if you look at the comment section, there's a lot of people that have expressed exactly the same feelings as I've just expressed. Yeah, Ghost, that's another thing I mentioned at the beginning. That's something that also really got me angry as well. And that's why I kind of complained about these content creators, influencers, you know, posting these things to make money, literally. That's all their real main motivation is, right? Get clicks, you know, make it nice and spicy with the titles and the pictures and you know, get as much money out of it as possible. Yeah, Fly 77. The thing is, the dangerous thing is that a lot of people are following him and obviously, you know, always kind of applauding him for that, and that's putting things, I don't know, in some area which isn't good. Hey, MAN, vielen Dank. MAN, thank you so much, gifting us up. 210 gifted subs here on the channel. Good God. MAN, Dankeschön. Yeah, so the clickbait thing is one thing, okay? So it's a concept to get as many dollars as possible, okay? That's one thing. But here's one thing that's also for me an absolute no-go. So I'm thinking about the families, the relatives of the ones that have passed in that accident. So any content creator that puts out wild theories on what potentially could have happened, you know, are they really helping those people? Because of course they want to know exactly what happened as well, right? They want to have, you know, some reason they can accept and understand why their loved ones died in that accident, right? So, but you know, it has to be done in a manner that is just patient enough to have the full facts out. Because, I mean, if you look at the facts right now, what are the facts, guys? So what absolute facts do we have about the accident up to this point? Not many. Yeah, so we can see a video with initially some really bad kind of pixelation that the aircraft lifted off. The aircraft reached a height of about 600 feet. The aircraft stopped the climb and started a slow descent until it crashed. We could see that the landing gear was never raised. That's a fact. and over 260 people perished in the aircraft, including the aircraft and people on the ground. Hey, Lee. Yeah, so, and then, yeah, at a later stage, now, Lee, I know, Lee, you posted something about the rat pretty much immediately after the first video came out, because you recognized the sound of the rat, right? That kind of propeller sound. Now, for me, I would have said, potentially it could have been a lorry or a motorbike going by, right, below, because he was filming that from a window or something. I'm just saying, okay, I'm just saying to have a counter argument, okay, to that theory. But I think later when another video came out that had, oh yeah, and yeah, it's another video that came out that had a little bit higher resolution. You could potentially see the rat on the right-hand side behind the landing gear being deployed, okay? But again, it's a video recording that is somewhat not ideal, okay? So even though it looks a lot like the rat has deployed, we'll still put it into the realm of speculation, okay? But just for the pure facts, now, regarding the Mayday call, I did try to find something today again, because I think the officials did say the captain or one of the pilots made a call, a distress call, but I'm not sure what exactly they would say, or they said, right? So that's why, again, I don't know exactly. Again, careful with that. So you can't put that into the area of facts, right? Yeah. So Jalen, right? So we don't have many facts there. Oh yeah, and initially, the call regarding the flaps being retracted, just because they looked from behind and it looked like the flaps weren't deployed. Well, guess what? On a 787. When you only have flaps 5 for takeoff, and flaps 5 is literally, I would say 70-80% of all takeoffs on the 787 on a long runway is a flap 5 takeoff. So the slats are being deployed, obviously, into the mid position, but the flaps for flap 5 takeoff or landing, well, landing wouldn't be, but flaps 5 takeoff, they only move a fraction, very little. And so, of course, looking from behind, you could come to the conclusion that the flaps were retracted. And so that's why the first conclusions were, the pilot, obviously, instead of raising the landing gear, put up the flaps. How do you know? You don't know. Is it possible? Yes, still possible. But that's not a fact. That's just speculation, right? Yeah, exactly, Ghost. That's why I'm being careful with that. I have not read any official transcript of that radio call, so I'm careful with that. But I know the authorities said that they made a call, but I haven't seen anything specific what they were saying. Right, so yeah, that's exactly the thing, right? So, I mean, hats off to them. I mean, the videos are getting millions of views, so he's laughing all the way to the bank. Congratulations. But I feel sorry for the victims and families of the victims, and I feel sorry for the family relatives of the co-pilot who had to read that the co-pilot retracted the flaps instead of the gear, causing the crash. Right? That's how those stupid newspapers interpreted these announcements. So it's a mess. I just think it's a mess. It's terrible. Yeah, exactly. Now it's like, oh, oops, yeah, sorry, yeah, the flap theory. Oh, yeah, sorry, you have to revise that. But now I have new proof. Now the rat has been out. Now they had hydraulic loss, or now they had electric loss whatsoever. Right? I mean, yeah. So again, let's wait until. Yeah, MAN. That's another thing, right? I thought, how do you know who was pilot flying? Potentially, it could have been the captain moving the flap lever, right? Because if the captain was the pilot monitoring, he would have done the gear and the flaps, right? So why blame it on the co-pilot again? Stupid, really stupid. Yeah, Winky, and yeah, I know the one survivor, again, what a miracle. Absolutely amazing that he survived. So I don't know, it's somewhere in the interview apparently he said, and again that's unconfirmed, apparently he said that there was a flicker in the lights in the cabin. And so the whole expert bandwagon then jumped on that and said, oh, that's proof that the rat got out. Well, it's nothing official yet, guys. It's just speculation. Apparently someone said something, no proof at all. Speculation. No, so okay, so again, another good point. Apostolos. There were some pictures going around of apparent transcript that looked like a typical transcript of events going on with a time stamp. And so apparently, yeah, one of the pilot's chair got pushed back on takeoff, etc. Blah blah. Absolute fake. These are ChatGPT generated usually. Absolute bullshit. Sorry, a BS fake stuff. Don't listen to that. Absolute. Yeah. Don't just completely ignore these kind of things. Sorry, yeah, Bob, but you can see that how angry that got me. You know, having to read and see that kind of stuff. Yeah, and the thing is, so you see, especially coming from, you know, those that are real-world pilots and making these videos and making these claims, you have to realize that as a pilot you have more credibility, so that comes with a lot more responsibility. Fred Moin. And I know I'm not saying every one of those content creators and real-world pilots, you know, is on the same bandwagon. Okay, I'm not saying that. I know that there's some people out there that you know, use the correct approach, where they will say it's all speculation. But if you're interested from the technical side, you know, this potentially, so this system does that. In the past, yes, there have been cases where instead of the flap lever, the gear lever was moved, or vice versa, or the flap lever was moved in the wrong direction. Yes, that has happened. You know, but it doesn't mean it happened in this case. Okay. So, you know, as long as you just make sure that your viewers understand that, you know, the facts that we have are minimal, and the theories and the speculation out there are numerous, but all in the realms of pure speculation. No facts whatsoever. Yeah, Flies, me too. Exactly that. And, you know, Flies, internally, in one of our forums, yeah, this has exploded as well. So I know that a lot of real-world pilots are upset about that. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, as always, so once you have such an event happening, the news outlets, I mean, they live from these you know, viewer numbers and clicks, etc. as well. So they obviously try to push that topic as much as possible. But they have a much more legal corset, right? So they have to really be careful what they put out there, not to get sued, right? So, but now, whenever you have, you know, in-flight returns or anything going on, I think it was British Airways 787 that had a return to Heathrow because of a flap issue, and I would assume, and again, it's just an assumption, no facts, assumption, it could have potentially had to do with what's called cruise flaps. But, you know, they landed normally with normal speeds, safely back after dumping some fuel. But, yeah, it gets blown up out of proportions again in the media, right? There was a Lufthansa 787 yesterday that returned to Frankfurt. And initially, the stuff that was being posted on the news outlets, crazy. And that was because of the bomb threat, apparently. So, again, you know, whenever a 787 is involved right now with even the littlest, you know, the smallest kind of issues, it's going to get blown out of proportions in the media. Yeah. But that's been the case every time with every aircraft. Yeah, exactly. 737 MAX in the last years, yeah, same thing, right? Oh yeah, and again, some food for thought. When you watch these videos, I know it's all about fascination. You know, like criminal investigations. I'm aware of that. You know, humans are curious, you know, kind of creatures. I understand all that, and we all passionate about aviation. All good, right? But all I want to say is be careful. Be careful when you go into the realms of speculation. Remember that 737 that crashed in Vilnius last year, I think it was? Man, the speculation going around. All kinds of things with glide slope being bent, autopilot issues, with Russia planting a bomb on board, or Russia jamming GPS, whatever. There was so much stuff going on again. And in the end, what was the reason? It was this. So they had the engine anti-ice on. Okay. And then during the approach, at some point, they got out of the icing conditions, and the captain, it seems, said to the co-pilot, I'm switching off the engine anti-ice. And he did this. Right? And look what's happening, and that happened exactly the same on the aircraft. You see this? Master caution hydraulic. But he just clicked it away without commenting on it. So he didn't even bother looking up. He didn't realize that he made a mistake. Instead of switching off the engine anti-ice, he switched off B hydraulic. Right. So then when they tried to extend the flaps, well, guess what? The flaps didn't move. So here comes the third issue. He moves the flap lever, but never bothers to check if the flaps are moving. Right? So a completely different reasoning for that. So plausible error due to maybe fatigue, yes, you name it. Swiss cheese model. Many different factors then in the end causing an accident. It was of course then CRM as well, right? That was a Vilnius crash. Let me see if I can find it on Faro. Yeah, here's the link to that. Yeah, Swift Air 737 exactly. So again, be careful with those you know, premature analysis and speculation. Yeah, Capitan, there were many, like I said, there's many issues that led in the end led to that Swiss cheese model lining up perfectly to then, you know, end in that accident. I mean, that's a textbook kind of thing to learn from, right? How not to act in the flight deck. Absolutely, yeah. Also, one thing. So, I think good pilots. It doesn't matter if it's military pilots or airline pilots or corporate pilots, private pilots. Always stay humble. So, for example, for me, after 30 years of flying and over 20,000 hours, I'm still humble because I'm thinking like, hopefully I'm not going to mess up on my next flight, right? Because I know it's a complicated job. I know all the things that go into making a safe flight. And I know how quickly something can go wrong and how quickly mistakes can be made. So I'm always trying to do my best to, stay vigilant, to stay, humble, to make sure that I keep doing the SOPs, right? I'm trying not to get complacent, right? So, never feel safe in the sense of, don't think that just because you've been flying for a very long time without incidents or accidents, don't think that you're the best pilot in the world. Stay humble, stay quiet if you like. Alex, hello to you. Yeah, I'll get to that in a second, Alex. The shader settings, let's have a look. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not having any shader program. So game filter, this at the moment, I would have to reinstall that again because there was an update somewhere. So this is just standard. I think you're referring to the main settings. Is that what you're saying? Hang on, main menu, general options. But I think that's on 2024, isn't it? Because we're on 2020 right now. So it should be, everything should be standard. Yeah, flies. Yeah, good quote, yeah. Yeah. So there's a quote, right? In God we trust, everything else we check. That's also a good quote. Yeah, Alex, those Windows updates, yeah, I think I had the same issue. I reverted back as well, yeah. Yeah, Alex, yeah, I did revert back. So, Alex, you asked, what's your worst immersion situation? Worst emergency situation? Having a stall in the 747, so literally stick shaker, doing a stall recovery maneuver over the Pyrenees Mountains because of extreme lee, lee winds, so kind of a wind shear situation. Sounds more dramatic than it was. I mean, it was just because stick shaker, because we lost a lot of airspeed. There was turbulence, and so the alpha vane then created a stick shaker. So just did the stall procedure, autopilot disconnect, unload the aircraft a little bit, slowly add thrust, and then recover. So that was one thing I remember. I mean, technically, knock on wood, technically I never had any big issues. Just the smaller stuff, split flaps on the 737, pack failures, electric failures. But luckily, never an engine failure.
Electronic compartment.
Yeah. Well, that's a big emergency. Yeah, so you had a metal ballpoint pen falling into the electronic compartment, but that was on the ground, luckily. So coffee machine breaking down, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big emergency as well. I agree. Teddy, hello to you. You asked, did you think about some things twice or be even more careful after the incident when sitting in the cockpit? Well, it's a good question, Teddy. I think it's always a bit of a wake-up call if you hear that an aircraft crashed, because it does remind you that aviation requires a lot of work from everyone involved in aviation, not just the pilots, also the mechanics, the flight planners. You name it, right? The air traffic controllers, etc. There's so many people that are involved in creating safety in aviation, right? Everything has to go hand in hand. But just in my area as a pilot, it does make you think, and I read some accident or some incident reports, and I'm like, ouch. you know, oof, potentially that could have happened to me as well. So what can I do, you know, in my own work style and my work procedures, right, to prevent me running into that trap and making that mistake?
What do you think about the idea to introduce a kind of a 4 eyes procedure for certain things, maybe retracting the gear or the flaps or something? I mean, the same procedure then when you switch off the engine master switches in case of a engine failure.
Okay, you mean like you know, gear up, and then the pilot monitoring puts his hand on the gear lever but doesn't move it. He would say confirm, exactly. And then he would say landing gear lever confirmed. Interesting question.
I think when you are tired, you had a bad day, had a long working schedule, you are very tired. I mean, it can happen that you put the wrong lever, and it has already happened. It is confirmed.
I know I know it's happened. Luckily, it never happened to me on any of my flights, but yeah, potentially, it can happen. Interesting question, because I'm just trying to think if it's like, because, you know, moving the gear and the flaps is not a time critical, you know, step. So potentially, you could do that.
We had a incident in Kathmandu, I guess. There was a aircraft approaching onto the runway, and the co-pilot should put the flaps down, and he put it in the wrong direction. He put flaps up, and the aircraft stalled and crashed.
Well,
it's the same one.
Yeah, in this case, though, I mean, if he just puts his hand on the flap lever, he could still move it in the wrong direction. It's, you know, if they're like in position 15, let's say, he could still potentially, instead of extending them, could raise them a little bit. I mean, it's not that critical here in this case, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah.
No.
And Fly says when he was a flight engineer on the DC-10, the aircraft got into a turn and got a stick shaker, and that was because it was much heavier than on load sheet. Okay, wow. Yeah. Yeah, Flight Tech Magazine. So that's a good title. I'm going to make a screenshot of that. See if I can get hold of that book. I love those books. Yeah. So, Fighter Pilot's Guide to Making Tough Decisions. Even the best pilots can get confused and be lost. Yeah, absolutely. That's another good question. So B320 Max is asking, you know, why is it still possible to retract flaps below the respective speed? I mean, the Airbus 320, I know, has a system installed where it would prevent you, I think, from getting the slats retracted below a certain speed, right? I don't remember exactly what speed that was. Now, I know that there's been some confusing statements regarding the 787. The 787 does not prevent slats from retracting below a certain speed or beyond a certain angle of attack. If you as a pilot command flaps and slats up, they will go up no matter what the speed is. And also, they do not extend automatically if they're in the up position. The only feature what you have is auto gap, where if you have flaps out of the up position, the slats, when they're on the mid position, they will move automatically to the full position below a certain airspeed and beyond a certain angle of attack. That's the only kind of safeguard feature it has.
Plus, it would be an easy thing to check the speeds and simply switch the flaps motors off when it is too slow.
Well, I think the biggest I also read an argument saying it doesn't matter if they put the flaps from 5 to up, right? Because 5 isn't much of a curvature on the wing. I disagree. The real issue are the slats. So if you look at the max angle of attack curves, when you change the flap setting, you create more drag and of course some more lift, but the biggest influence on your stall margin is coming from the slats. So while, yeah, if the flaps go from 5 to up, that doesn't create much problem really for the aircraft. What does cause a problem is high angle of attack and then the slats retracting. That is a problem. So yes, indeed, if you have a system in place, and that's, I think, Brenda, that's what you're saying, is that if you have a system installed that prevents the slats from coming up, if you are below some airspeed, then, like I said, the Airbus has that. I know the 787 does not.
I think the stall speed is not everything. I tried it in the Horizon mod. I think, okay, it's simulator, it's not 100%. But I tried a takeoff with the same people on board, like in the accident flight, with the same temperatures on the same runway and so on. And I retracted the flaps 5 seconds after takeoff. The same position where you normally retract the gear. And the aircraft stalled, and the worst part was that the trim was going way too behind. You had to push the yoke to the maximum to the front, not to stall directly.
Yeah, so you have some system behavior coming in as well, making the thing worse. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Teddy, I think in this case, I would prefer a system installed where it would prevent the slats from retracting below a certain speed, or beyond a certain angle of attack, or vice versa, that it would potentially extend the slats to give me a better stall margin. Sure. Yeah, Flight Deck Magazine, thanks. Yeah, I saw that. We are in a descent now. Cool, let me do the preparations for the landing here quickly. Always interesting discussions, for sure. So Pamplona, we already talked a little bit about the approach, but for those that joined a bit later, what we're planning to do right now is we're on the Nolza 1 Yankee. That brings us to a point called Nolza. And then we're going to fly to Aneku. And from that point onwards, we're going to fly the RMP-33 approach. So there's a little side step from Aneku to Papa 505, then Papa 510, then 515, and then we'd do quite a steep final descent towards the minimum of 3,010 feet. And then hopefully we'll have the runway in sight so that we can then follow up with the visual part of the runway 33 approach. And I have programmed in those waypoints here. So the Delta Sierra 1 Papa Papa, 2 Papa Papa, 3 Papa Papa, just to help me with the lateral maneuvering. The vertical maneuvering we'll have to eyeball, right? We've got to trying to get some sort of reference to the runway, and we're going to lose 1,500 feet, so 1,500 feet from this point to the runway. And yeah, if we mess that up, missed approach over Supos, that's another thing I could theoretically enter here on the fixed page just to help me out. So let me put in Supos, and the rest will program as we go along. Drag required. Are we that high? No, we're 5 feet low. Disregard. Yeah, so that's about it. That's really the approach we have available for landing. Let's just check my info here. So we have Lima Echo. So we have available 1,900 meters. That's not a lot. That is not a lot, by the way. So let's have a look. Let's do show landing. Let's do the calculations here. Oh, hang on.
The good news is that the weather is excellent and the visibility is also very good.
Is it good? Okay, good. Thank you. So Pamplona. Runway 33, condition dry. So let me go get the weather here. 310 at 9. Let me just put in 4 here. Temperature is 22, nice. And the QNH is 1022. Flap config, well, we have a steep approach, so I'm going to go with flap 40 to help me with the descent. Air conditioning on, anti-ice off. Brakes, well, we've got to use 3 at least. Oh, show en route, disregard. There we go. We'll use all operative. Everything's working. And then the landing weight. Let's have a look here. In it, 55.5 we'll calculate. So 65.5. We'll add 5 knots. Let's calculate that. So wow, so distance required is 1,800. It's telling me 2,400, but that's not correct, is it?
There's displaced threshold.
Yeah, that's it, right. Look at that displaced threshold. So we have, here it says as well, on runway 33, yeah, 1,900 meters. So we'll take autobrake 3 and try not to flare for too long. Are the numbers in the right 5th line on the FMC to meet the restriction shown above? But what's happening? Hang on. There we go. So hang on. 1, 2, 3. VNAV. Yeah. So this value here, you mean? Yeah, exactly. So it says at and equal. That's the restriction. So it's saying we should have 1,386 feet per minute descent rate to meet that restriction. Yeah, and that's dynamic. That will be adjusted accordingly. But I think it's aiming for the 6,000 there, or maybe it's calculating that with respect to the next waypoint or something. But I agree, it's a bit weird because that's all above. So, or maybe it's calculating everything with regard to the 3,000. Maybe that's why. But that's just me thinking. Well, we don't have 4 Voyager. You mean max? All right. Yeah, we could theoretically, but I mean, 3 would work. And you know, if we flare a bit longer than I want, we can either go round or we could go max manual braking. And that puts us about 300 meters stop margin. All right, so yeah. Cool. Let me have a look outside here. Lord, why does it do that? Oh, there we go. That's a flyby. Nice and smooth. Love that. Cinematic mode. Oh, you got school tomorrow, Ghost. Oh, okay. Well, you can always fly it at a later time, sometime. And let me just try to save that position here. Save position. Lol, it's vibrating. Oh, there's an aircraft there. Someone's racing me. Well, they have to admit I'm a bit...
Racing. There's a backtrack. You need to backtrack.
Okay, let me have a look. Good point, good point. You are correct, yes. So, yeah, guys. Yeah, take a bit more spacing. Good point. it will take a bit of backtracking to get to the apron. Good point.
I'm taking a delay with the black box.
Oh, excellent, thank you. That's you behind me then?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, I'll speed up a little bit. Yes, exactly, Marcel. So the first flight today is in Microsoft 2020, and then the second flight from Tirana to Samos will be in Microsoft 2024. Yeah, correct. Good. So the minimum is 3010. Let me put that in here. No, hang on. It's this way. 3010. Good thing we can hold for the scroll. So mouse click hold.
Your idea to fly to Samos because I made a comment in your very old video.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
No. So no, I just today I saw. Well, I thought I want to fly, do a nice, interesting approach with the iFly in 2024. So then Samos came to mind.
Yeah, Samos very good.
Let me check the weather there today. It should be nice. So currently I have 340 at 12 Cavo K. So let me see. I'm going to put 6,000 in here. Interesting wind condition. Let me just check that.
Normally you should get a lot of turbulences there because then the wind comes over the mountains.
So I think normally today it would be runway 27, which is also a nice approach, obviously, but the other approach is nicer. But yeah, you're right. It should be more crosswind from the left, so it's going to be a challenge to fly it. And we love challenges, don't we? Okay, all right, so I'm going to now go back to 250. Get some speed brakes out. It's a shame those viewpoints. I have a feeling something's gone wrong again with chase plane. Okay, where's that click spot? Hold on. Oh, that's automatic, isn't it? That's why. So, let's have a look. So, recall was done. Let's read the checklist for the approach. So, we go with the descent checklist. Landing altitude is set. Recall was checked. Auto brake 3. So, look, make sure that's. Yeah, auto brake 3. Minimums, and also landing data minimums. So we have 138 and VREF 138, minimums Baro 3010 feet. Approach briefing completed. Let's now go with the approach checklist. One 1022. So approach checklist, altimeter, QNH 1022 set 3 times checked, and that's the approach checklist complete. So speed brakes are still out. Oops, careful. Why is that? Flaps. Let's do flaps 1 here. Why is that a bit high in the approach? I'm not sure why it didn't lower the nose there a bit. Let me open that speed window. So we're going to be flaps 1 here. And then let's go with idle power. 6,000 above. Then the next limitation that we have is the 4,000 above. Oh, 4.5 actually. So let's put in 4,500. And there you can already see those beautiful mountains. So from the looks of it, I would assume that we're going to go fly a little curve here, and then it's going to be around this part here, and the runway should be somewhere in that valley. Let's put the lights on, seatbelts on. Oh, electric. Hello, hello. Good thing that comes back online. Going flaps 5. So what I want to do here on this page, just put the... it has 6 pages. Oh, that's interesting. So I can see the distance from the, at least the airport, which helps. It's got some wind turbines coming up. Very nice. Bit of turbulence. Lovely sunset. Nice. Okay, so 4.5 above there. And the final descent is out of Papa 515. And again, that's very steep. So here, let me put the gear down already, so that we can meet that descent path. Give us vertical speed. 1,000 feet to go. Flaps 15. So energy management is definitely key here. So we have LNAV, VNAV as a mode there. Alt acquire. So once we have the alt hold, if you like, or alt, then we're going to put the minimum in.
$2,500
is checked. Flaps 25. Alt hold, there we go. And now we have to really dive down, and flaps 40. So we have 142 for the final speed here. Quick check. Yeah, 9 knots. So the land checklist, engine start switches. Continuous. Speed brake. Armed. Landing gear down 3 green, flaps 40, green light, landing checklist completed. So look at this. So I can see that I'm going to reach my minimum 3010 exactly at the missed approach point. Now we're looking out for the runway. So I can see the airport, I can see the terminal. There's the PAPI lights. And I have 6 miles, roger that, manual flight. Manual thrust. Flight directors now go off. We'll put the bird on. So runways in sight. Maybe put the missed approach heading at least. And now I can fly along my pre-programmed waypoints. 5 miles, 1,500 feet. So we should be slowly seeing those PAPI lights hopefully come into play.
Minimum.
Continue. Now I'm going to go with about 900 feet of rate of descent. Keep monitoring the PAPI lights. 1,000's checked. Everything's finished. Wow, lovely how the terrain slopes around there. You see that? Beautiful. Oh, look at that. 1 red.
1,000.
3 white. 1,000 checked. And I'm continuing now on the lateral path that I've programmed in. On path. And now I can use that little curved prediction marker there to line up with the center line. Always try nice and smooth inputs, maintain the speed. Check PAPIs on path, looking good. Let's continue our descent here. Ah, look at that. That just brings you around that little mountain, that little hill top there. Beautiful. I love how stable it flies. It's really nice. So once you've trimmed it, it flies absolutely beautifully. Really nice.
500.
There we go. Now let's try to get center line and let's get the pitch correct here. Power. Looking good.
400.
And there you can see that display threshold. Okay, so now you can see the PAPIs are a bit
300.
offset. It's a bit of a shame, but that's just the way it is. So I'm going to aim. I am going to aim for the touchdown zone here. There we go. Visually here.
200.
So we can't touch down before the threshold
100.
markers. But that looks good.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Nice. Speed brakes up. Reversers normal. There you come. Good deceleration. Looking good. Closing reversers. Manual brakes. Auto brake is off. And let's quickly turn around so that we don't occupy the runway longer than necessary.
I just passed Papa 515, so plenty of time left.
Okay. There we go. And big quick backtrack now. Wow, beautiful approach. This is a European West server, and the scenery again, it's just incredible. Lovely. Nice. Let's retract the illegal backtrack. Test. It's quite funny, the sound you hear, that's normally when you hear, or when the runway is grooved. So when you have cross grooves, that's the kind of sound it makes. Monday equals butter day. Oh, Lord. But right now, it's going to get us a good comparison between the 2020 version and the 2024 version, because this actually handled really nicely. So runway is clear in 5 seconds. Love how everything's nice and smooth. Very nice indeed. Runway is clear. There's going to be a few more items here. Someone has a different elevation than me. And then we'll watch some of the aircraft land, shall we? No pressure. I'm going to park here. This is number 4. Yeah, I'm happy with that approach. That was nicely pre-planned. Just in time. And nicely executed. Park brake is on. That can go off. Now just waiting for the APU to be available. Please cut engines. Yes, give me a second. So how are we looking on the... Oh, we just see someone coming in to land. Hang on. Let's watch that. The scenery maker... Is it BMW? Let me just check. Yeah, it's beautiful model of the world, BMW. Yeah. So again, displaced threshold. Look at the huge displaced threshold here. Really long. Yeah, look at that Pro Pilot coming in. Beautiful. Right on the touchdown markers. Perfect. GG's. Eric, hello. You recommend enhanced airport graphics. Okay. Is that payware or is it on flightsim.to? Let me get terrain off here. Terrain. Traffic. APUs available. Shut down items. Seatbelts off. Beacon is off. Lights off, obviously. Okay, it's payware. Enhanced. It rings a bell somehow. So maybe I already bought it at some point. Requested boarding requested. It's available on Orbix. Nice. Okay, thanks for the tip. That's cool. That is cool. Very nice. So anybody else coming in right now? Let me just check. Oh, yes. So somebody's coming in. So I can quickly just do a checklist here. So shutdown, we have fuel pumps off. Probe heat off. Window heat can go off as well. Flaps are up. Parking brake is set. Engine start level is cut off. Weather radar is
Passenger's bus is coming.
Off. TCAS off. And then we're good. Right, let's watch the landing. Ooh, someone close behind. I hope he's aware that he's going to back to... somebody landed already. No, I missed the landing. They're so close together. Well, that was MA. Yeah, there we go. That was MAN. GG's, just in time. So I wonder who's next. Maybe Brenold.
On today. Jeremiah is in
Oh.
final, I think.
Jeremiah, okay. So that's Jeremiah here. Nice.
Passengers the boarding started.
Looking very nice. Door's open because my door is open, lol. Nice, looking very nice. Good landing. GG's. Right in touchdown zone as well. And then who's next? Is that Brennelt? Let's see.
Jeremiah, and after them, I am.
Yeah. So Jeremiah just touched down, I think. Beautiful sunset. Very good. And safely down. Well done. That was you, Brennel, correct?
No, I'm still in the air.
Oh, that was Jeremiah. Okay, and then you back there. Ah, I see. Well, I've seen only good landings up to now, so GG's. No pressure, Brennel.
That's a big pressure to me. Yeah, it is.
You can handle it.
I'm well known for not the best landings.
You'll do that. Come on, no worries.
Where's the runway? I can't see it.
You should see the terminal buildings more easily. I'm not sure if you have payware scenery or not.
I have, yeah.
Okay. I mean, you're going in the right direction, so there just seems to be one more turn coming up for you.
Yeah, I see the runway right now.
Okay, good. Oh, looking good. That must have been, yeah. Is that the FS Labs?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It is.
There we go. Same thing. I've noticed that as well. Touchdown, it pulls the nose. So if you have a slight crab angle, it just pulls the nose straight instantly, and you get into that veering action. I've had had the same thing. Yeah. So they've acknowledged it, and hopefully they get to a fix very, very soon.
Then it's not my fault.
Nope, absolutely not. Nice, guys. Thank you so much for flying along. Always a pleasure. And that was a beautiful approach. Very challenging. Nice. Yeah, the landing gear is always a model matching issue here in Microsoft. Thank you so much. Give me about 10 minutes, 15 minutes break, and then I'll be back with another flight. We're going to be from Tirana to Samos. Flight time is calculated with 1 hour 17. So if you're interested in seeing how it performs in 2024, I'll be back in 10 minutes, guys. Thank you so much once again for all the resubs, for the support, for the gifted subs, guys. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, see you in a few minutes, or otherwise I'm planning to do another stream tomorrow evening. So maybe tomorrow evening. Thank you so much, my dear moderators. See you soon.